I asked them, I said, are you ready for this? So that meant as parents, are you ready? Don't worry about Coco, but are you ready?
Medium fit. What the hell?
Her main goal is to be the greatest of all time. Now, our job as parents is to put a plan in place for you to get to be successful. So, when we moved down, we had a 10-year plan. Corey and I, we had a 10-year plan to get there. She's on year 8. The 10 years, she'll be a pro in 10 years. She's on year 8. And so she exceeded it by 2 years. I knew that at 3 years old. I knew that she had the special gifts and talents to be something that required a high level of discipline.
She's just always been ultra competitive from a young age. So I think, we told the story when she was 3 years old, chasing her siblings around the track and never could catch them, but she kept running.
As far as Coco knowing that she was going to be a good professional tennis player, the training came probably around when she was in 3rd grade when we made the decision to go ahead and move back to Florida. Well, it was difficult because in the fact that in Atlanta, my husband was doing pretty well salary-wise. I was doing great as a teacher, and our lives were settled. We could easily been living our own little husband and wife and raising our type of family up there. So that April, my husband called me. He was working out of town, and then he's like, I'm gonna need you to, we're gonna need to commit, and I need for you to take off for just 1 year from work. I was a school teacher. Take 1 year off from work, and I want you to homeschool Coco, and I want you to bring her and have her train at home in Florida. So I asked my mom and dad if I can stay, and we lived in one of our rooms, my mom's room, and she had a full-time commitment.
It was a little bit tough downsizing quite a bit. I mean, it went from a 6,000 square foot, or in your words, probably about 5,000 meter square house, and we downsized to a couple of bedrooms in our parents' house while we were trying to figure out what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. The journey's not going to come without sacrifice, and what I asked of my wife was to understand that this is what has to be done. This is what's been done by other parents. I think you see an example of that with the Williams. Federer, Nadal, his uncle is highly involved in his career, so it's no different with Coco's.
I was not totally in favor of her, quitting school and all that, because Candi quit her job. She had been working 19 years, and as a mom, now I'm concerned about my kid.
That was a conversation I just finally said to my mom, this is what we're doing, and I don't want to hear anything else about it. Didn't hear anything else about it. Coco's success as a professional athlete, or her upward journey, is a lot of decisions based upon my husband and I as former athletes. For example, allowing her to train over in France and be a part of Maratigu Patrick's Academy. That was a decision of saying yes because of me as a child when I was a gymnast, and I was asked to go and live in another state, and then my parents said no to that because of me living in someone else's home. So I kind of like changed my career.
I had the career I wanted to have. I realized that I could have gone farther, but I didn't have a father like me.
I don't remember. What are we doing?
1-2 duck.
You said 1-2. You put the
All right.
I'm gonna wait till later.
In the beginning, what I was doing, I was at her practices, so I would watch her practices, take notes, and just listen to what some of the coaches were saying, and then I relay that information to Corey. But as Coco became a teenager, I think around 12 or 13, she didn't want to really listen to my advice as a coach or as a person who was a former female athlete. So I backed away and let only my husband give that kind of advice, and I became mainly the mom and to raise her and making sure that I'm raising a young lady, making sure that she's doing her schoolwork and developing friendships, having a social, and just answering some of her things that a young lady will want to know. I see Coco as normal. I do see her as normal though, and because she's goofy and off the court, she's playing around and fighting with her brothers, so she's doing things what a normal kid would do, and so that's what I see in the home. Now, when she's on the court, I don't see her as, you know, my daughter. I see her as a professional.
Well, I think we kind of look retrospectively back at many of the women that had made it, that were successful on tour, and some of the more famous ones that weren't successful, and just try to look at how they trained, what they did, what their parents did, what decision they made. We kind of formulated what would be our plan to be able to get her there based on her interests, athletic ability, and our finances.
So that backhand that folks are talking about now, it was something that was put in place when we first came down to Florida. He's in a difficult spot because he's her dad as well as the coach. And when you're 12, 13, 14, you're going through your own changes as a female. And so when she's not looking at you as coach, when you're seeing something that's critical, she's receiving it as dad and not coach. So they had to figure out their roles.
It's like, okay, when we're on the court or training, then we're going to talk about tennis, and then we're home, you know, we talk about, she's a teenager, she talks about everything else, she just plays a sport. It's probably common in most people's family, you know, they talk about sports when they're playing sports. When they're not playing sports, they don't talk about it much.
We went all the way to Australia, and she lost in the first round in singles and in doubles. And that was a moment for Corey, my husband. I just remember him sitting on the edge of the bed and just was like, I don't want to curse, but it was like, what the, you know, we done did all this training. We done spent all this money to come over here. We've done this, only to lose in the first round. And that's the first sign, I think, to me as a wife, that I saw him a little bit discouraged. Like, he was like in his head, just like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right things? Am I the right person for her? And he put another plan in place, and she won the French Open. What this place is more of a home, because it's a connection. It's something that where Corey and I both played in this area as kids, and so it's more of a foundational place. It's a place that you can always come back to when you're lonely or scared. So it's more like your little teddy bear, I guess. So when Corey was coaching her and say, take your mind back to Pompey Park, he wanted you to take yourself back to a place of comfort, and this is that place. At the beginning of 2019, January, February, March, April, Coco's going through her teenager years, and there was one of those conversations that I had. I think it was a tournament in Bonita Springs, and I just felt that she did not give her effort out there on that court. And I had a long conversation with her in the car, and in that conversation, I just explained to her, this is something that you don't have to do. You're not doing it for me, you're not doing it for anybody else. But one thing you do have to do, you have to fight. You have to try. Even if the scouting report is wrong and they didn't get it right, you know how to hit a tennis ball, you know how to run after a ball. If all else fails, just keep chasing the ball until something works. You just keep fighting, you just keep digging. Don't think about the win. Don't think about winning this game. Just think about the little things that it takes to get you there. And if you do the little things that you're comfortable doing, you know how to hit a ball. You've been doing it 6 years old. You know how to run. So just do those little things, and eventually,
that's a winner.
It's gonna come through. So fast forward to Wimbledon is what I saw. I saw my conversation with her before me.
You really think that she is able to win a Grand Slam in 2020?
Yes. I don't know which one, but I feel like it's going to be one. I think she got a chance at Australian Open. But if not, French Open, because I think she's good on clay. Her past championships have been on clay. Her first championship was on clay at 10 years old. She won the French Open on clay, so like her big ones have been on clay. So it could be French Open.
What I have is an undeniable belief in my daughter that she can achieve great things. And not only do I believe that she can do it, I raised my hand and was willing to participate to help her get there. And without question, I don't question one thing. I think she absolutely has got everything that she needs to get to those lofty goals that she set for herself. And no, I'm not going to allow her to, not focus. I'm not going to allow her to not give it her all. I'm not going to allow her to set targets that are too low. So if they want to call it pushy, then I guess I'm pushy.